Keep my ground so clean.
The heart and soul of the Cayman people. Thank you for keeping the culture alive.
There's the news every day. From East End to Georgetown, down into West Bay.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
For the Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Cayman Pharmacy Group, with a location in West Bay and professional pharmacy at CTMH Doctors Hospital. The Cayman Pharmacy Group has a location for you just around the corner. Seaboard Marine, with over 35 shipping ports, find your shipping solution by calling 949-4977 or visit seaboardmarine.com for competitive rates. Rotary Central, for more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. Fidelity Bank, for all your banking needs, visit fidelitygroup.com. Fidelity, we're good for you. And Roper's Janitorial, complete janitorial service for commercial, industrial, and residential. They get the job done right every time.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Coming to you live from Radio Cayman Studio.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you. For the record. Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is your talk show.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome to For the Record. Today is Wednesday, the 19th day of June, 2019. I trust that everyone had a restful, peaceful, enjoyable evening, and that you're all raring to go today. Those of you who are on the roads already, we urge you to be extremely careful, observe the rules of the road, be as courteous as you can, while at the same time observing the rules of the road. If you're a pedestrian, if you're a cyclist, if you're operating any type of motorized vehicle on the roads of the Cayman Islands, we implore you and we advise you that the life you save by being careful may just simply be your own. Folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman, and by extension, For the Record, into your homes, into your vehicles as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, whether it be an office cubicle or if you're working in the outdoors. I need not tell you that For the Record is a show produced by the staff and the management of Radio Cayman, and it is geared towards keeping you abreast of issues as they arise and play out on the local, regional, and international scene. I am your host, Orrett Connor, and you're welcome to join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 a.m. until 10 a.m. During that period, our phone lines are always open. There is always someone there waiting to take your calls. 9 times out of 10, unless she's on vacation, traveling somewhere, it is that beautiful radio voice of Miss Susan Watson. You can call us on our toll-free number provided courtesy of Flo. That toll-free number is 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037 and 949-6990. Of course, if you don't like to talk on the telephone, email us at For the Record. That is one word, For the Record, at candw.ky. WhatsApp us on 925-3261, where we encourage you to send us a text message or leave us a voice note, the contents of which will be played during the course of the show. And of course, you can follow us on YouTube simply by subscribing to Radio Cayman live stream. We have no guests in the studio this morning. Lots of things to discuss, a lot of interesting things we want to talk about. At some point in time, the progression of power and light, electricity in the Cayman Islands. Talk a little bit about the mid-50s. Also want to talk about some current issues as well. And most importantly, the whole issue of people-initiated referendum and where we are at now. You have heard in the news, for instance, that and I'll share with you excerpts from the Cayman News Service's website in relation to their article entitled "Elections Boss Justifies Verification Process." And it goes on to talk about the election supervisor, Mr. Wesley Howell, has said it is cabinet that has requested a full independent verified list based on the petition submitted to the elections office last week, requesting a referendum on the cruise berthing project. In the absence of any law directing a people's vote, the office, and that is the elections office, is virtually redoing the entire petition to meet this demand. While activists remain concerned that there is no lawful justification for this do-over, Howell said that with no law to provide for a sampling process, individual verification of all 5,289 signatures is the only option. Then it goes on to talk about the fact that after the elections office received the petition last Thursday, it published a form asking those who have already signed the petition to sign the form, repeating the details they have already given. It took the grassroots activists, all volunteers working on a shoestring budget, 8 months to collect around 5,500 voter signatures, but the elections office believes it can verify all of the names in less than 8 weeks. And so I'll stop there for now, and I'll start by saying this appears, since there is no legislation in place in governing the verification of signatures, this then becomes what I see as an administrative process. And we will look at, and maybe I can get in contact with Dr. Steve McPhail and talk about judicial review. And when you go to judicial review, what do you look for? Whether or not something is reasonable, whether or not it is fair and proportionate, and all of those issues, and whether it is quite possible that judicial review can be sought against the actions of the supervisor of elections if the parties feel that the process that is being embarked upon is not fair. But what I'd like to share with you also is the fact that on the 13th of October 2011, there was a research paper that was done by the Constitutional Commission of the Cayman Islands, and the chairman of that commission at that time was the late Pastor Al Ebanks. The late Julian Banks was also a member, and Mr. Will Pinot, who is with the Chamber of Commerce, CEO of the Chamber of Commerce, was also a member. And they did a research paper published on the 13th of October 2011 on people-initiated referendum. And they go about talking about the law itself, the Constitution, the particular sections that relate to referendum, as well as people-initiated referendum. And then they laid out a process for people-initiated referendum, how it should proceed. And so if you want to read that research paper, you can go to the Constitutional Commission's website and you will find it there. I believe it is under publications, but I will tell you exactly where to find it later. So there, the section on the outline of the basic process contemplated for the administration of people-initiated referendum. So here we are, 3 Caymanians, 2 indigenous Caymanians, and 1 person possessing Caymanian status who gave us an outline at that point in time. Again, in the absence of any legislation other than the Constitution, that commission at that point in time, the members of that commission laid out something for us. And it says, prior to a petition, 1, there should be a standardized petition form. 2, topics able to be decided on or not by the referendum. So you should say what is it that you want, the topics that you want to be decided, topic or topics, right? The petition question approval process clearly defined. So the approval process for the petition question should be clearly defined, something that we need to look into here because people are saying that they have concerns as to whether or not the question, the way that it is worded, whether or not it will be fair, F-A-I-R. And I will say to those who have those questions in place that there are international organizations, including, I believe, the United Nations, where you can obtain advice. And when the question is posed, is placed, is proposed by Cabinet, you can seek expert advice as to whether or not the question is balanced or whether or not it would be tilted in one direction or the other. Now, I know that the people involved with this referendum they're all volunteers. They may not necessarily have the sort of funding compared to what government has, but you started this process, you want to go through with it, so you're going to have to jump through all of the hoops that are necessary, all right? So the petition question approval process must be clearly defined. There must be notification of initiating a petition and the gazettal and publication following the approval. Some of these steps have already been gone through in terms of the petition itself. Then they also, and again when I say they, the late Julian Banks, Mr. Will Pinot, and the chairman, Pastor Al E. Banks, had a section on the collection of signatures. They recommended financing of the petition, that there should be disclosure of the financing of the petition. Not sure if that has taken place. Promoting awareness of the petition, soliciting signatures of electors, persons permitted to collect signatures on behalf of the petition's originator, required information of electors signing the petition, name, address, date of birth, signature. Right? Again, these are recommendations made by our people, right? And there should also be a time frame in which to collect the signatures. In this case, it took 8 months, but I don't think there may have been a time frame that the petitioners were looking to cover. It took them 8 months, whether or not they set 8 months as the time frame or whatever. But again, we're beyond that point. And there should also be a timeline to collect additional signatures if the original petition submitted to Cabinet does not meet the threshold of 25%. So they were being additionally cautious in this regard, because what they're also saying is if you have presented your 25% of the signatures and for some reason it does not meet the threshold. Let's say, for instance, some of the signatures are not verified or are rejected, then there would be an additional time frame or a timeline to collect additional signatures to meet that threshold if for some reason some of those are rejected. With that, we will take a commercial break. When I return, there is a section on verification of signatures, certification of petition that I will read to you as well. And bear in mind what I have said. This was a research paper and recommendations made by members of the Constitutional Commission, all Caymanians. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, sponsored by Cayman National Bank. Visit Cayman National Bank today for all of your financial needs. The Cayman Islands, He hath founded it upon the seas.
The extensive lee shore, or the sheltered side, the side away from the wind, along the western edge of Grand Cayman offered solid protection from the prevailing winds. The broad inlet, originally known as Long Bay, has since come to be known as West Bay. Characterized by calm waters, white beaches, and a gently sloping submarine terrain, this area was historically an ideal anchor location, and the beach is known for their turtle nesting grounds. Long Bay also offered the safest approach to Grand Cayman because of the sandy shore, and the unobstructed reefs were easy to distinguish. Notably, in 1767, Long Bay was the rescue point for the crew of the troop transport Cumberland that were rescued. The notability was that the crew had wrecked on East End. However, the rescue ship, the HMS Adventure, refused to anchor in East End, and the troops had to make their way to Long Bay in order to be rescued.
Information from this historical vignette was sourced from The Maritime Heritage of the Cayman Islands by Roger C. Smith.
Radio Cayman's historical facts vignettes are proudly brought to you by Cayman National, with branches on all 3 Cayman Islands. Visit Cayman National Bank today for all of your financial needs.
When you need stability, think Business of the Year.
Considering a new career opportunity, think Best Place to Work.
When dependability matters, think Outstanding Workforce.
In need of a reliable financial partner? Think Bank of the Year.
When you seek excellence, think Cayman National.
No matter how many accomplishments we achieve, we always set the bar higher. That's why we are the most awarded bank in Cayman, and we are proud to be your
2018 Bank of the Year.
2019 marks 100 years of junior achievement worldwide. Junior achievement in Cayman is now 29 years old. To celebrate and support this milestone, help Junior Achievement Cayman to continue our work, guiding next generation Cayman to new horizons in life and business. Get your ticket and enter to win an exclusive trip to Namibia, known as a smile on the face of Africa, offering a unique blend of amazing desert scenes, exquisite wildlife, and fascinating tribal cultures.
Get an adventure of a lifetime while supporting Junior Achievement.
Purchase your ticket and stand a chance to win an exclusive all-inclusive 16-day tour to Namibia for 2 persons. Namibia can be reached from the Cayman Islands with Delta Airlines flights via Atlanta and Johannesburg. Experience the astounding and desolate dunescapes of South Namibia, the amazing endangered wildlife of the Etosha National Park. Purchase your ticket today. Junior Achievement, another Rotary Central inspiration project.
I remember playing at 7 Mile Beach as a boy, eating mango by the sea, learning how to snorkel. My mother, she worked so hard to provide for our family so that we could have those moments. Seeing her age has been tough. That strong, capable woman, now in need of daily support, it's my time to be strong for her.
CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy understands the importance of the careful decisions you make every day for your family. Our staff work towards healthcare excellence and providing the most current and up-to-date training with pharmaceutical care, so you can feel confident in knowing that your family is safe with the right medication. At CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy, we take care of your health.
They say cleaning your house never killed anyone, but why take chances? Spend your time doing what you love and leave the rest to Roper's Janitorial. Complete janitorial service for commercial, industrial, and residential with 24-hour emergency service. Roper's Janitorial, 949-2511. Email janitorial@ropers.ky. Take back your life and get the job done right the first time. Roper's Janitorial, 949-2511.
Wow, it seems I buy a battery every year.
Oh, for real? You should buy your car battery from Vampman. Their batteries are tough. I have a 3-year warranty on mine.
Oh, I know that trick. I take it back and they charge me a percentage of the price.
Hear me out, bro. Not at Vamp Bobo. You can get a 3-year full warranty, no charge. And if they install it at Vamp, it includes free towing and jumping service. And let me tell you, you will never have to get your hands dirty changing no battery.
Get Motorcraft Max or Plus battery for 20% off when it's installed by the service department at Vamp Motors on Walker's Road. Now that's a deal you can get charged up about. Vamp Motors, keeping you on the road.
Extended through June.
Sometimes having a middleman is not a bad thing, especially when it comes to insurance. Do you know that when it comes to cost, ease, speed, and peace of mind, insurance brokers ranked higher than when customers buy direct? So, for all your insurance needs, call Fidelity Insurance. We're the middleman you want. Call us today at 949-7822. Fidelity. We're good for you.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-582-55. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. Not being a lawyer, I've resorted to Google to seek some information in relation to judicial review. And it says here, the concept of judicial review is the process of challenging the lawfulness of decisions of public authorities, usually local or central government. The court has a supervisory role, making sure that the decision maker acts lawfully. In turn, this usually means that the decision has to be taken again if the courts, as a result of a judicial review process, find that the authority, the entity, the government entity has not acted lawfully. So, if you feel that the supervisor of elections or the cabinet, for that matter, since the directions for the verification came from cabinet, then, and if there are no laws in that regard, then maybe it is something for the courts to look at to see whether or not it is lawful. And then, quite possibly, the parties can sit and agree on a compromise as to the way forward in terms of the verification process. I think that there is a strong argument, first of all, that if the elections office holds the signatures of some, it doesn't seem as if they hold the signatures of all registered voters, but of some registered voters. Well, let's see how many of the 5,289, I believe it is, signatures that are on there, how many of those can be verified through that process. I know that people have said that the staff of the elections office are not handwriting experts. But I don't think that it takes a handwriting expert to be able to look at two signatures and at least determine the similarity and the likelihood that it is likely to be the same person or the same signature, as well. To be fair to all, I believe that Cabinet also has an inherent duty to ensure that if they are accepting 5,000 plus signatures, it would be remiss of them not to ensure that they are legitimate signatories to that particular petition as well. So both sides have concerns that need to be addressed. If all and sundry want to see this people-initiated referendum move forward, so at the end of the day, that the people will have their say, and they will have their say in one of two ways. They will go out there and they will vote in the referendum either for or against the question, or they may choose not to go out and vote. And in this particular case, by choosing not to go out and vote in the referendum, you're also taking a position and you're also impacting the result of it, as well. But that's an argument for another day as well. So, again, going back to this research paper that was completed by members of the Constitutional Commission in October of 2011. They speak about there's a section on the verification of signatures / certification of petition. And it speaks about measures to confirm the identity and qualifications of persons who have signed the petition. Restrictions placed, to look at the restrictions placed on civil servants and others based on the nature of the petition. Also looking at amending the petition following its presentation to Cabinet. Also withdrawal clause for the petitioner in the instance the legislature fulfills the petition. So if for some reason it was a petition question that the legislature was in a position to fulfill the terms without having to go to a referendum, then there should be provisions there for the withdrawal. There should also be a body or authority responsible for counting and verifying petition signatures, right? Whether or not that body should be the elections office or another body, that's another question. Right now, I believe that the elections office, the supervisor of the elections, they are the persons who are eminently qualified to complete that process as well. There should also be a time frame allotted for counting and verifying petition signatures. Cabinet's allotted time to finalize the wording as well, and we spoke about that before. The wording of a petition, extremely, extremely important, and that is why it is good to have professional advice as to whether or not the wording is balanced. And then there should be a publication of the petition results, which we have, and Cabinet's decision on when to hold a referendum as well. And then they go on to talk about the referendum process and everything else. When we return from our 8 o'clock news, we will continue with this discussion on this process, and I will certainly welcome your input out there as well. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. And studio time now by Price Right is 7:59.
Priced Right is Grand Cayman's warehouse shopping superstore, making your dollar go further with huge savings and no membership fees. Get more of the things you use every day at the right price. But it's not just grocery and health and beauty. Priced Right has a full range of products from office to automotive, patio furnishings to kitchen appliances, and even electronics. And since warehouse prices mean savings for you, everything is priced right at Priced Right, Grand Cayman's warehouse shopping superstore.
The voice of the Cayman Islands.
89.9 FM in Grand Cayman and 93.9 FM in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman.
Silver wings shining in the sunlight.
Radio Cayman.
Access. Information. Your community. News and information. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
With your latest news, I'm Carsley Fuller.
Fintech is an ever-growing sector within Cayman's largest industry.
Minister of Financial Services and Home Affairs, the Honorable Tara Rivers, says that's why government supports local conferences like tomorrow's Cayman Islands Digital Economy event. The minister will be giving her opening address, which will be followed by a discussion from the co-founder and CEO of Veriblock on innovations involving blockchain technology. Tickets are $350 and include entry to the full-day conference, breakfast, lunch, and a cocktail reception. Visit sidec.ky to purchase tickets. In an effort to expose graduates to a wide range of opportunities and experiences, the International College of the Cayman Islands and Cayman Enterprise City met recently to explore partnership opportunities between the two organizations.
CEC has a very unique system going that I think would benefit ICCI greatly. They are looking at how they can partner with ICCI, who has been a long-standing college on the island for nearly 50 years.
ICCI President Dr. Byron Kuhn says the partnership would see students having access to expanded opportunities for coveted internship spots with companies registered in the economic zones. He says these kinds of opportunities provide not only a sense of how businesses work, but put students elbow to elbow with talent from around the world.
And they pick up so many different ideas and suggestions that will help them along, their journey.
Dr. Kuhn says the partnership discussions have been an ongoing conversation between the two organizations since CEC Chief Executive Officer Charlie Kirkconnell spoke at the college's Career Readiness Day last year. In regional news, an Air Force major has drowned while on a cruise in the Caribbean. The Broward County, Florida Medical Examiner's Office says 37-year-old Stephen Osaku drowned Friday on board the Caribbean Princess ship. The South Florida Sun-Sentinel reports ship personnel were unable to revive him. Cruise line spokesman Nagin Kamali said the death appears to be an accident. He was a research pharmacist stationed at Columbus Air Base in Mississippi, and he was on the cruise with his wife. Now with a check of international news, here's the BBC, which will take us out of the newscast. I'm Carsley Fuller from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
BBC News with Jerry Smith. A UN-mandated report into the murder of the Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi has concluded that Saudi Arabia bears responsibility for his death, something that the report says was meticulously planned. It said high-level officials in the kingdom, including Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, should be investigated. The UN Special Rapporteur recommended imposing sanctions on the prince's personal assets until he proves his innocence. The Saudi government denies the prince was connected to the murder inside the kingdom's Istanbul consulate. A Dutch-led team investigating the shooting down of Malaysia Airlines flight MH17 over eastern Ukraine has named 4 men who are to be charged with murder in the Netherlands. 3 are Russians and 1 Ukrainian. The men include the top military commander and defense minister of the self-proclaimed Donetsk People's Republic, Igor Girkin. The team said it would today ask Moscow for the extradition of the Russians. The Ukrainian is believed to be in rebel-held territory in eastern Ukraine. Nearly 300 people, most of them Dutch, died in the incident 5 years ago. South Korea is donating 50,000 tons of rice to North Korea. It's the first such shipment in nearly a decade and follows a severe drought in the north. But the UN says this consignment won't even closely cover North Korea's forthcoming grain shortfall. Egypt has criticised the UN after it called for an independent investigation into the sudden death of the country's former president, Mohamed Morsi. Caro accused the UN and rights activists of politicising what it describes as a natural death. Foreign tourists visiting Iran will no longer have their passports stamped when entering the country. The move is aimed at countering what Tehran calls the United States economic terrorism. And those are the latest stories from BBC News.
Access and information. What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
At Kirk's Home Center, we can make your life much better. We got it all together. We got a great deal in store for you.
This week at Kirk Home Center, make it all about Dad. Keep him sharp with a beard and mustache trimmer for $16.69. Help Dad relax in a self-standing hammock for $208.39. Save on an electric power washer with rolling cart for $256.49. And 1 gallon tank sprayers for $14.49.
Kirk's Home Center, we got a great deal in store for you.
Support our port, support our tourism.
Wouldn't it be nice to spend quality time shopping, eating, and socializing with friends and family in Georgetown? The cruise berthing facility will stimulate the revitalization of our capital city, turning this vision into reality.
Looking forward, looking bright.
Learn more and spread the word.
Support our port, support our tourism.
The Weather Report is proudly sponsored by Super Stitch Sewing and Fabric Center, your one-stop household store at 39 Pasador Place, Smith Road. Still offering the best prices in town. Call 949-2833 or go to superstitch.com.ky. New stock has just arrived at Super Stitch. Now don't take my word for it. Drop by and see for yourself. Fresh off the boat, we have loads of fabric, vinyl upholstery fabric, fabric for cushions, outdoor fabrics, and dress fabric. That's not all. Super Stitch has sewing accessories and craft items. Included in the new shipment, you will find sheets, comforters, throw pillows, bath mats, rugs, and curtains for every room in your home. Super Stitch, 39 Pasador Place, Smith Road. Still offering the best price in town. Call 949-2833 or go to superstitch.com.ky.
Good morning. Time now for the latest weather report. Current temperature is 84 degrees. Relative humidity is 85%. Barometric pressure 29.98 inches and rising. The wind is out of the east-southeast at 8 knots. Overnight low temperature was 78 degrees. Synoptics indicate isolated showers along with moderate southeast winds and seas will prevail across the Cayman area for the next 24 hours as an upper-level trough moves east of the Cayman area. Now, the forecast for today calling for partly cloudy skies with a 30% chance of showers. Temperatures will be in the lower 90s. Winds will be east to southeast at 10 to 15 knots. Seas will be moderate with wave heights of 3 to 5 feet. Pretty much the same for tonight. Partly cloudy skies with a 30% chance of showers and temperatures falling to the upper 70s tonight. Your winds will be east to southeast 10 to 15 knots and seas will be moderate with wave heights of 3 to 5 feet. Today's high tide will occur this morning at 10:32, low tide this afternoon at 4:46, and a high tide again tonight at 11:53. The sun will set this evening at 7:04 and will rise tomorrow morning at 5:49. And the outlook is calling for similar weather conditions through Friday morning.
Super Stitch Sewing and Fabric Center was the proud sponsor of the Weather Report, your one-stop shop for all of your household items, craft items, jewelry, beads, and decorations, and much more. Call Super Stitch at 949-2833 or email customer care at superstitch.com.ky. New stock has just arrived at Super Stitch. Now don't take my word for it. Drop by and see for yourself. Fresh off the boat, we have loads of fabric, vinyl upholstery fabric, fabric for cushions, outdoor fabrics, and dress fabric. That's not all. Superstitch has sewing accessories and craft items. Included in the new shipment, you will find sheets, comforters, throw pillows, bath mats, rugs, and curtains for every room in your home. Superstitch, 39 Pasador Place, Smith Road. Still offering the best price in town. Call 949-2833 or go to superstitch.com.ky.
Good morning once again. Let's take a look at what's happening on our roads. Busy traffic coming from the east on Shamrock Road and also on the Lidford Pearson Highway. Slight delays expected as you're headed down to Georgetown. Coming off of Bobby Thompson Way, steady traffic. Little steady traffic as well on Huldah Avenue. Traffic flowing moderately on Thomas Russell Way. On Cool Road, busy traffic in some sections. Other section moving along steadily. Coming from the West Bay Road, that's a West Bay four-way stop. Traffic is light to moderate. And in and out of Georgetown and Shedden Road, things aren't looking too bad as traffic flowing pretty good, as well as on Godfrey Nixon Way and Eastern Avenue. On the West Bay Road, traffic moderate in both directions, especially in front of the Ritz. That's what's happening on the roads. Join us again at about 10 minutes after 12. We'll update you traffic-wise. Remember 10-2 on the steering wheel.
The Talent Exposition of the Arts is now 18 years old. K-Man, get ready! The new South Hub Community Foundation presents the 18th Annual Talent Exposition of the Arts. Sunday, June 30th at the Hawkwheel Theatre. Take in awesome performances by Caitlin Tyson, UCCI Performing Arts, Liana Da Costa, Georgetown Primary School Performing Arts, Erica Rocket McBean, along with special appearances by gold medalists Stella Murray Junior Dancers and MCs Andrel Harris and Anika Connolly. Part of the proceeds from the Talent Exposition will go to support the Francis Bodden's Children's Home. Prepaid tickets are available at Funky Tanks and Winner's Circle for $10 or $15 at the gate. The 2019 Talent Exposition of the Arts from 5:30 p.m. Sunday, June 30th at the Hawkwheel Theatre. Get your tickets today.
There are plenty of reasons to be a Logic customer. There's lightning-fast internet connectivity. There's the great overall customer experience. And now, you can improve your Wi-Fi connectivity with Logic Boost Wi-Fi for free. With Boost, you can extend your freedom to stream, game, and download seamlessly anywhere in your home, like your patio or your underground lair if you have one. Sign up now for any Logic Bundle package and get free Boost Wi-Fi for a limited time. Visit logic.ky for details.
Radio Cayman 3 to 6 mix on the weekdays. Brought to you by
Cayman Insurance Center, serving the community for 45 years. Don't take chances with your family's future. Call Denise Brown at 814-7229 or Michael Webster at 925-5433. Fitness Plus and Train with Dre. Getting in shape has never been easier with the mobile fitness app by Train with Dre and the new Eco Power Sport Art Equipment.
Every day. All the time.
Visit fitnessplus.com for more information. And City Walk, serving Chinese, Japanese, and Filipino dishes until 11 p.m. each night. East meets West at City Walk. Dine in, take out, or order online. See their full menu at citywalk.ky. Call 947-9965.
Ultimate Party Show in the afternoon. Radio Cayman Super Jam.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. There are no guests in the studio with me this morning. We're talking about people-initiated referendum. Specifically, I have been sharing with you a research paper that was produced by the late member of the Constitutional Commission, the late Julian Banks, as well as the late Pastor Al Ebanks, along with Mr. Will Penu. And that research paper included a section on people initiated referendum. That actually was exclusive to referenda. I'm going to continue to discuss that and to read excerpts from that research paper. And in the section entitled Looking Ahead, Addressing Legislation, the writers go on to talk about negotiations of the Cayman Islands Constitution Order 2009 through Section 70 people-initiated referendum indeed fostered the concept of direct democracy, subsequently providing an avenue for the electorate to gain more control with respect to matters of national importance that directly affect their lives. Critics of direct democracy argue that it weakens representative democracy by undermining the role and importance of elected representatives. However, supporters of the use of referendum argue that direct democracy acts as a useful discipline on the behavior of elected representatives, ensuring that they fully consider the likely views of voters when taking decisions on their behalf. As previously noted, other jurisdictions have found people-initiated referendum to be a very useful tool in enhancing democracy. And that is what people argued here, as well as those arguments were made during the constitutional negotiations. And at some point in time, maybe not today, I will share with you verbatim information in relation to the constitutional negotiations and what was said there. What I will be sharing with you this morning also is the whole question of the role of the Attorney General in our legislature, as well as the role of the Attorney General in advising the governor. That is, governor in cabinet, and not the governor as the UK's representative. In that arena, legal advice comes from the FCO. But I will read and share with you a heated discussion. He was extremely emotional that the chief negotiator for the UK, Mr. Ian Hendry, had when some comments were made by the representative from the chamber, Mr. Will Pinot, in that regard. I will share that with you as well. I have a lot of exciting stuff here to share with you today. Not all can be shared within the 2.5 hours that I have, but I'll share as much as I can. So, the research paper also goes on to talk about the fact that the legislation that is required for the Constitution, by the Constitution to govern referendum has not yet been implemented. Some key elements to be included have been described in Section 20, subsection 2B and C of the Constitution, and those are the setting of the wording of the referendum question, which I said again is very important, but what the Constitution basically says that Cabinet will determine the setting of the wording of the referendum, and the time frame for setting the question and the process to be followed for the administration of the referendum. Now, I'm going to pause here for a second and talk about two issues as well. One is that you've heard on this show, and some of my guests talk about it as well, the fact, including the current leader of the opposition, Honorable V. Arden McLean, about the need to have a permanent referendum law in place that governs the holding of a referendum. We have admitted, the authorities have admitted, that there is no such law, so they have no guidance on it. So they have to basically do it on the fly, which can be questionable and which I believe at the end of the day that the courts should determine whether or not what they're doing is lawful, whether or not it is rational, whether or not it is proportionate, and all of those other questions as well. Also, what we want to talk about is the appropriateness of the elections office falling under the governor as opposed to us having an elections commission. We talk about the Cayman Islands being so far ahead of the game, being so modern, but yet we still have an individual as opposed to an independent body governing the electoral process in the Cayman Islands. Folks, have we come a long way in that regard? My answer to you would be no. And during Mr. Colonel Gomez's tenure as supervisor of elections, one of the recommendations that he made never been carried out. We need to have an election commission to remove the appearance, the possible appearance of undue influence on election officials. We have two callers. Let's go to the phone lines. First caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Okay, Mr. Orrett Connor. Well, I have a question. At the same time that the government is checking these votes on the cruise port to see if everyone is official.
The signatures?
Yes, to see if everyone is official to be able to sign on the petition.
Yes.
And at the same time, I mean, the people who went around and got the signatures have said that everyone that has signed is able to sign because they're a citizen and they're able to vote, right?
And they've done that by checking the names against the voters, the voters list, the register of electors.
Okay. And as the government now is checking it to make sure that it's official, that everyone that signed was able to. What the people that went around and got the signatures, while the government is checking to see that all these signatures are official, the people that went around and got these signatures, what are they doing at this time?
I'm sorry that I trust that is a rhetorical question because I'm unable to speak for them.
Okay. Well, I would suggest to them at the same time that the government is checking to see that all these signatures are official, I would suggest to these people to get 2 JPs from each district and to sit together with these JPs and go over all these signatures to confirm that everyone that signed is official or not.
And how would you do that? You would have those people who have signed it then appear in front of a justice of the peace?
No, you just have to check their records to see if they're Caymanians and if they're able to vote.
Yeah, but the question now is the verification of the signature.
Oh, you mean if the person signed personally?
Yes. See, that is the issue. It's not whether or not the person's name appears on the register of electors, but whether or not that signature on the petition. So it is this. The signature is the key issue on the petition. Whether or not that signature belongs to the person who's purported to have signed it.
Okay, well, if that's if that's the problem, then a referendum is going to have to be like how an individual votes when it comes to voting for members of the Legislative Assembly. Because I mean, the government can come and say that the majority of these signatures were signed by such and such people, but then again, these people might have signed them.
Well, see, the government or the authorities are not in a position at this point in time to they can confirm that the person's name appears on the register of electors. What they're saying is that they have no way of knowing that Orrett Connor, whose name appears on the register of electors, that Orrett Connor also signed that petition. They would have to know my signature or to be able to compare my signature to determine that I have signed it. Now, the question would be whether or not that is necessary. If you compare the signing of a petition to you going out there and voting on election day or even during the referendum, remember that there was a time when not everyone had an elector's identification card, and people were sometimes they were said, if you don't have that, then you take some other form of identification when you go to vote, because when you enter the polling station to go to get your ballot paper, you have to declare your name, your address, and your occupation to the presiding officer in the polling station. Based on that information that you have provided, the clerks there will look on the voters list to see that your name is on there. And if they're satisfied that you're the person, based either on you producing that voter's registration card or some other form of identification, if they ask for it, then you are allowed to vote. And that is all that is required. Now, what we have done, what apparently has been done here, is that they have set a higher standard for the signing of a petition and the verification process than we actually have when you go to vote. Now, my question would be, which one is more important? Which one is more important? Is it the voting process, the final process, or is it your ability to sign a petition, caller?
Well, Mr. Connor, the government said they're going door to door to find out if everyone signed these signatures, right?
I believe that will take place, yes.
That's what I read.
Yes, and that's going to be a long process, I would say.
Okay, so if the people that started this thing going around and getting these signatures, if they go around with a JP door to door at the same time, and the JP is there with them as a witness, that these people whose signatures are on these papers actually signed them. I think that's what's most important right now.
Okay, you have a valid point, and whether or not that would be acceptable to the parties concerned is another story. I think if we are really seeking to do what the writers of this research paper spoke about, direct democracy and the whole concept of fostering the direct democracy, if that is really what we want, at the end of the day, it should not be an adversarial process at this point, but all parties should sit down to try to agree on the best way forward without inconveniencing the electorate and without delaying the process as well. Caller, I want to thank you very much for that very, very healthy discussion. We're going to take a commercial break, and we have 3 other callers queued up as well. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Did you know the third most important factor for customer retention is cleanliness? With 95% of shoppers saying exterior appearance influences where they decide to shop. Keep your business clean with Roper's Janitorial. From offices to restaurants, interior and exterior, walls to rugs and flooring, Roper's cleans it all, including 24-hour emergency service. Roper's Janitorial, 949-2511. Email janitorial@ropers.ky. Dress your business for success with Roper's Janitorial. We make your business shine. 949-2511.
CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy, formerly known as Professional Pharmacy, would like to thank the Cayman communities for their loyal support these past 18 years. Our staff work towards healthcare excellence and providing the most current and up-to-date training with pharmaceutical care. Thorough background checks and follow-up consultations is only the beginning. Your safety is our concern. Our staff are respected healthcare professionals whose job requires careful and precise calculations. Thank you for being a part of our family and for choosing CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy, where we prepare to provide exceptional care. At CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy, we care about your health.
Sometimes things just don't go as planned. That's why you need Contractors All Risk Insurance from Fidelity Insurance Brokers. Ensure you're covered in the event of property damage and third-party injury or damage claims during your construction projects. And with Fidelity Insurance Brokers, you can be sure you are getting competitive pricing and superior customer service. Call us today for a free quote. Fidelity, we're good for you.
Always ensure that food preparation utensils are washed with a strong detergent and rinsed in hot water in the event that they have made contact with flood water. Boil silverware for 10 minutes and immerse glass, porcelain, china, and plastic items in a solution of hot water and 10% chlorine bleach before use. For more post-hurricane food safety tips, visit DEH website at deh.gov.ky.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We're going to the phone lines as promised. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record. Thanks for being so patient.
Good morning, Mr. For the Record.
Good morning, Doc. I'm not comrade today?
Yes, no, you're not comrade today. No. You are a liberal conservative today.
Yep. I change my face every day, huh?
Yes. That other radio station doesn't do what you do.
Thank you.
Anyway, I know that the most crucial thing is the verification process.
Mm-hmm.
That may not allow the referendum to proceed.
Mm-hmm.
It may derail it because if you can't verify the signatures, then you're not going to have a referendum.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And you don't think that the mere fact that the person's name appears on the register of electors that is sufficient? There could be questions as to whether or not that was fabricated.
That should be sufficient.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that should be sufficient. I mean, and especially when there's no law, like in Bermuda and all those places, where there's a lot of set of clear guidelines and clear procedures of how it should go. We have none. And so what we're doing, we're making up all these rules as we go along that are not helpful. And that's the problem that I find.
Should we go to seek judicial review for the courts to determine?
Do it. I think they are going to have to do it. I think they're going to have to do it in the long run. But they just say, for instance, that the petition proceeds, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And then the next stage is the cabinet question that has to be set by the cabinet. Now, you remember when we had the referendum on the Constitution,
right?
Or whether or not we going to accept the Constitution? Yes.
Yes.
There was a long period of information and of information and disclosure and information and clarification and whatnot to the people. The government paid for that.
Yep. Went district by district.
Okay. Who is going to give the information to the people now on the referendum question, so that they can fairly answer yes or no with information that they have received on information like the environmental impact, on information like the contract, on information like the costs, on information like the qualification of the contractors. All of those things have to be out in the open so that people can make up their minds whether or not they agree with it or not. You understand what I mean? You can't hide now and say, well, you for the port or not. You cannot make a decision whether you are for or against the port unless you have the information about the port.
If the question is worded as such, yes.
Yes. And so who is going to be responsible for that information for the people now? And how long is that? And how long is that period going to take before the vote is taken? You see, and who's going to pay for that? Because that is necessary. Because otherwise, it will not. If they just say, "Are you for the port or against?" but they put out no information so that you can make up your mind whether you are for it or not. That's not democracy. And so that's the next thing I want to know for you to try to have a discussion about on your show. What kind of information that the other side has to disclose so that people can make a
informed decision.
Informed decision, and who's going to pay for that, and what period is that going to be?
Very quickly before you go, Doc. Very quickly before you go, the whole concept of judicial review has to do with what? Lawfulness, reasonableness, proportionality, all of those issues?
Yes. The judicial review is a discretionary remedy that the courts will look at. Dispense because of its overall jurisdiction. Judicial review is like making a decision, giving you whether or not a decision has been made, whether or not there's breach of natural justice, whether or not they came to the right decision for the right reasons, and mostly it's about three things: it's statutory, mandamus, you can get judicial review to get someone to do something that the law said that you should do but they don't do, and prevention. Prevention of doing things. But you don't even have to go to judicial review. You have the right to say the question, to ask the court whether or not the question is right or wrong. You understand?
Yes.
You can go to the courts for the court's view on whether or not a position is right or wrong. In other words, you can go to court to clarify a situation. You can go to court to say, well, can you tell us what is the court's interpretation of Section 17? For instance.
Got you.
And you don't have to go to the judicial review to do that. That's where you have the right to ask the court questions of that pertains to law or clarification of legislation or clarification of decisions made by ministers or government or something like that.
Right, and that would be so something like, for instance, when we look at Section 70 and talks about cabinet, there shall be presented to the cabinet a petition signed by not less than 25% of the persons registered as electors in accordance with it. So he said all that cabinet has to do here is to receive the petition signed. It doesn't say anything about a verification process.
Exactly.
Right.
And so the question could be to the courts was, does cabinet have any other obligations with the petition except to see that it has been signed by the amount of people that is necessary to trigger a referendum?
Thank you very much.
You can ask that question to the court.
Thank you very much, Doc. Again, we got some free legal advice from you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record. Good morning, caller. Welcome to For the Record.
Yeah, morning, OC.
Morning. How are you?
Yeah, man. I say, boy, they come in like the government treating us like a hot wheel. Because when I used to work at room, you know, when a car come in on an emergency landing, that way it'd be hot, you know.
Mm.
You understand where I'm coming from?
Yep.
And you got to know how to approach that, because if you don't know how to apply the spray, you know, to that way you can injure yourself or kill the whole crew off with that.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to do an even thing, and this is how the government is treating the people like we are hot, we are danger. You see, OC? You see? This is how they're treating us. We trust them, but they don't trust us.
Mm-hmm, 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 mm-hmm. Well, I think, and you heard me say earlier that at the same time you have to be fair to the government, you have to be fair to cabinet. That while Section 70, subsection 1A doesn't explain a whole lot, if you're going to receive petitions, and if your decision in relation to start a people-initiated referendum on the basis of that petition, to a certain extent, it should be incumbent upon you or upon someone to ensure that those signatures are genuine signatures.
Yeah. I mean, sure. I mean, you gotta acknowledge that, and of course. But the thing is this: you have people like the granddaughter of may God be with his soul,
Servaso.
Jones. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Come on now, OC. Come on now. And the next lady, I can't remember her name.
No. I don't think anyone is questioning the integrity of any of those persons who were out there seeking the signatures. It is just that at the end of the day, the proper the proper thing to do is to find some way of verifying it. Now, whether or not you need to go door to door to do it. And we need to learn from this also that if we don't have all of those signatures in place at the elections office, then that's the next step in the process that needs to be done to ensure that the next time we end up with a people-initiated referendum, we're in a position to verify signatures without having to go door to door.
But that hurtful, see. I mean, I showed a woman my voter registration card, and the woman checking off the list like other callers has apparently has been true,
mm-hmm.
and we all keep by paper or by bird here.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is this: those people are credible people, respectable people that is going on to taking their time to ensure that their islands
mm-hmm.
are in the best of substantial ability.
Point well taken. And this may be in hindsight, but maybe one of the things that could have taken place if it didn't take place was to liaise with the elections office during the process of the petition to see what would probably have been acceptable to them in terms of the format that they took, so that you wouldn't end up having to repeat the process again. Caller, I want to thank you very much. I'm going to ask you to leave us there. We have one more caller, but instead of limiting that caller to 1 or 2 minutes to go to commercial break, we're going to go to the commercial break and then take the caller when we return. So, folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
Hi, I'm thinking of buying a car from the States. Which port do you ship out of?
Hi, we ship out of Miami, Houston, and Brooklyn. Just let us know your port of choice and we can provide you with a quotation and answer any questions you may have on insuring and protecting your vehicle during its journey.
Shipping shore to shore, Seaboard.
They say cleaning your house never killed anyone, but why take chances? Spend your time doing what you love and leave the rest to Roper's Janitorial. Complete janitorial service for commercial, industrial, and residential with 24-hour emergency service. Roper's Janitorial, 949-2511. Email janitorial@ropers.ky. Take back your life and get the job done right the first time. Roper's Janitorial, 949-2511.
Support
Across the Caribbean, our competitors have built piers that give cruise ship passengers a better arrival and departure experience. How can we expect to compete if we don't meet passengers' expectations?
Looking forward, looking bright.
Learn more and spread the word.
Support our port, support our tourism.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. No guests in the studio, but we do have people on the phone line, so let's hear from them. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, OC. How are you?
Good morning. I'm fine. How are you, sir?
Not too bad. It's Kenneth Bryan here. I just want to say that I am so much appreciating your commentary this morning in respect to this matter.
Thank you. Thank you.
But it draws me to some things that I think the public should be aware of in respect to this whole process. And I want you to bear with me for a minute here.
Sure.
Because I want to talk about your particular analysis and on the basis of your background. For most people who may not know,
You're coming in muffled, caller. I can hardly hear you.
Me better now?
Much better.
Okay. I was talking about your background and your experience with the elections office. So you have become a trusted analyst in respect to various different topics across the years, being the host of this show. But particularly with this topic, you have the background and experience knowing being through the elections process so many times. And bear with me with this last one.
Sure.
Many people have said and perceived that there is a relationship between you and potentially the Premier and the PPM. So some people may say, well, you're more in favor of the government. I don't think that's necessarily fair, but some people say that. But if they come to that conclusion, and your analysis this morning is that critical of this process, we should be worried. Because with your background and experience, you said something earlier that really blew my mind, which was the process of verification that they're using so far, even though we haven't seen one in any written form, is almost higher than the standard for election itself. And this is coming from you, a person who has had experience in it, a person who articulates himself very well based on background and information and research. This is very worrying because a lot of people trust you and have a right to trust you, particularly with this topic with your background experience. And if you see and you are worried about the process right now, I am even more worried today. So they can't say that you're being biased anyway, because there's already a perception, rightfully or wrongfully, of the fact that you're friends with this administration.
Yeah. Call if I can interrupt you for a second, and they need not take my word for it. Just look at the elections law. There are provisions in the elections law at the poll. If a person comes to receive a ballot paper to vote, and you have discovered that another person has already voted in that person's name, the law makes provisions for that person now who is appearing and saying that he is Orrett Connor, but it shows that somebody, Orrett Connor has voted already, somebody voted for Orrett Connor. The law only requires me to prove to the satisfaction of the presiding officer that I am Orrett Connor, take an oath, and I am allowed to vote despite the fact that someone has voted for me. Now, isn't that a high standard?
Yeah.
That's a pretty high standard, and that is allowed. If you may not have the proper documentation, identification, if they ask for it, you're allowed to also take an oath, and you are allowed to vote. And the whole idea behind that is not to disenfranchise a voter at the end of the day. So,
well, I agree with you wholeheartedly, and if you would allow us, I just want to say one more thing.
Sure.
Obviously, we've talked about the absence of legislation so far.
Losing again.
just saying that there's the absence of the legislation for this process of verification and referendums, period. We have to do a new referendum law every single time. We have one. But if that is the case, and we have never done a verification process or have guidelines for verification process, the question is, well, how will that process now be taken? And who decides how the process will be done? And if so, what authority or precedents are they using? And the last question is, where is it written down, or is it going to be ever-changing as they go? Because I can't hold anybody to account to anything without it written, because we keep on hearing about they're going to do this, they're going to do that. I expect the country to have a written layout of exactly how they intend to do this process and how they determined that process is the best way moving forward with the lack of legislation available. But we're not getting that. And I think that's a very dangerous road. And the comments that you made this morning are even more adding to that severity and concern for me, knowing that you've had the experience with this and saying, well, basically, they don't have to go that far. I think the country has a lot to worry about. Thank you so much for the debate this morning. You're doing a really good job, and I hope everybody's listening.
Thank you very much, caller, for that. And like I suggested earlier, I think it is most important, if we really want to advance and ensure that the democratic process plays out in this, would be for all parties to sit down, not for it to be an adversarial process at this point in time. It will become adversarial when it comes to the campaigning and everything else. But in terms of working out a process that is fair, and at the end of the day, the ultimate the people who that you ultimately want to be fair to are the electorate, or is the electorate, then all parties should sit down and try to come to some agreement as to how this process can work best for the signers of that petition and the people who will go or may not go out and vote during the referendum as well. We have another caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Well, see, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, sir. I'm fine, and yourself?
I just want to say good morning to my good friend Louis there at LNP Terrace also, if you don't mind.
Okay. Doc, yes.
Yep. Well, see, it just goes to show when one doesn't get what they want, it's no length they will go or nothing they will not do and to try to discredit, whoever the case may be. All right? Now, when I was asked to sign this referendum regarding the port, I said, by all means, I'll sign it, because I personally don't think we need it and we cannot afford it, because it'll be the debt of this country. All right? So I go there to sign it, and the girl said to me, she said, do you have your voter's ID card? I said, voter's ID? I said, no, I don't have it. She said, well, I am sorry, but, we can't allow you to sign this unless you have your voter's ID. I said, well, I thought I had it in my wallet, but when I checked, I didn't have it. So I had to come home and tear the place down, and I ended up finding it in one of my drawers. And I went back, and I presented her with my voter's ID card. And, it wasn't any issues at all. That was fine. So, what is taking place? I honestly get scared when I hear people all the time using this word. Now, this can be the truth, all right? Now, that word scares the hell out of me, because what I'm wondering otherwise, beside that, is what do you be telling us all of the other time?
If this is the truth now.
Yeah, so that word really scares me. But, I just want to try a little tip out there for the Caymanian people. From what I see is happening, and thank God I can do all of my own work myself. These garages on this island, take my advice to every Caymanian that are to the mercy of these people that works on their car. Be careful with what is going on. Get educated. Google, if you think you have a problem with your car, Google it and try to get some sense or direction of what it may be. Because when you're going into these garages now, they're coming up with all kind of extra foolishness that they're telling you that is wrong with your car, and they're charging you for it, especially the women. So as a Caymanian, some good advice: when you take your car in and they tell you that these parts are bad and that parts are bad, tell them to put the parts in your car. You want to save them. Because of what I experienced that is happening in this country right now. I mean, it's no different from America and Canada, but we took a while to catch on, but we are there, and we are there to stay. So be careful, Caymanians, when you take your car in. So you have a good morning, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, to caller. Very, very good advice in that regard. And there are some places it's $75 or $100 just to put you on that diagnostic, your car on that diagnostic machine before you go anywhere, with it. Next caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Yes, good morning, Mr. O.C. Good morning to the Cayman Islands.
How are you?
But now we got a little cold, but thank God I'm still alive. Thank God.
Okay. What do you have to say to me this morning? We lost the caller. We have another caller queued up. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record. Hopefully that caller will call back. Good morning, caller. Welcome to For the Record. Okay. We do have a WhatsApp message here, and it says, good morning, OC. I think there shouldn't be a vote until the referendum law is made and passed. Instead of making it up along the way, that is what we seem to be doing now. In my opinion, it will be subject to unfairness and injustices on both sides. I don't think a signature is necessary. Only ask the person if they signed the petition or not. Okay, so that's a good point. Now, when this person speaks about the referendum law, the vote can't take place until a referendum law is in place, and that is done in tandem with cabinet and the legislative assembly. Now, if the person is talking about the referendum law that we spoke about, that we need to have a standing referendum law that would be the umbrella for any referendum taking place, that's another issue. Caller, we have another caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Morning, OC. It's Johan Moxham. How's it going?
I'm fine. Morning, sir. How are you?
I'm all right, sir. Man, you could have used your two comrades, Mr. Steve and Mr. Rita this morning.
Yes.
This thing out more.
Yep.
You are doing an admirable job under difficult circumstances, because, like you, everybody else is flying blind on this one. Mm-hmm. But I just want to kick off by saying, Mr. OC, in no way, shape, or form am I trying to cast aspersions on the character of the individuals that the election supervisor in particular and his staff. I think they've been put in a difficult position, but they are quality people. Mr. Wesley, Miss Suzanne, Miss Glasgow, the deputies. They're first class people, and
yes.
The staff work really, really hard. That's important to note. What troubles me, though, is the fact that the cabinet and the leadership of this country, be it the premier, deputy premier, cabinet members, have known for the better part of 9 to 10 months that a people's-initiated referendum was in the making, and for whatever reasons, and I believe that it is deliberate, they have neglected to perform their duties as legislators to ensure that the same elections office people and the upstanding individuals involved are given the sort of legislative guidelines and laws to work in, because it's not fair to them, whereby they are having to assume or anything on this matter. This is a historic issue for the Cayman Islands, and whatever side of the political line you stand on, if legislators are getting paid to ensure that the government and the agencies have the appropriate tools in which to do their jobs, this administration and the ones before that, but particularly this one, knowing that they were facing a people's-initiated referendum, have failed woefully. It's an embarrassment, because this didn't just spring up overnight.
Mm-hmm.
This didn't just spring up in the last 2 months.
Mr. Moxham, Question: will the question be raised, and will it be challenged as to whether or not the cabinet is in a position to direct the supervisor of elections about this verification process? Because there is nowhere in Section 70 of the Constitution that it appears to give the cabinet or the governor in cabinet those powers.
Sir, I would say to you, we are right now consulting with legal counsel on this very same matter. I think it is unfortunate that the cabinet would interfere or try to direct anything at this stage, because they're on record publicly saying that for them the referendum process has not begun until after verification takes place. The fact that they are setting the rules as to what the verification process should look like, the first question coming out of that is, what is the legal basis? Is it case law? Is it precedents from another jurisdiction? So on and so forth. The second question coming out of that is...
Sorry, I'm going to have to interrupt you because we've actually passed our 9 o'clock headline news. If you want to hold on, or if you want to call back Mr. Moxham, please do so, but we have to go to a break now, and I apologize for that. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Radio K-Man. Radio K-Man's newsroom. These are the biggest stories right now.
The Royal Cayman Islands Police Service welcomes 9 interns. 6 have been allocated to several departments based on their interests and career aspirations, while 3 students have been placed in the Community Policing Department and in Human Resources. The force says it's their intention to continually accentuate their corporate social responsibility plan by developing young Caymanians, stimulating talent management and employer branding strategies, and improving visibility and credibility in the community. 4 men have been charged with murder over the downing of a Malaysia Airlines jet in eastern Ukraine in 2014, killing 298 passengers and crew. Dutch investigators have accused 3 Russians and a Ukrainian of involvement. Passenger flight MH17 was en route from Amsterdam to Kuala Lumpur when it was shot down over conflict hit Ukraine. Experts warn that public mistrust of vaccines means the world is taking a step backwards in the fight against deadly yet preventable infectious diseases. The World Health Organization lists vaccine hesitancy as one of the top 10 threats to global health. Those are your headlines. I'm Carsley Fuller.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. I think the previous caller has held on, and we're going to go back to him just to remind him that we still have someone queued up behind him as well. Caller, welcome back.
Hi, Mr. Osei, am I still on?
Yes, you are.
All right, thank you, sir. I left off by asking the question, what is the legal basis upon which the elections office is being directed? It would appear the instructions have come from Cabinet. So the question remains, who is directing Cabinet? What is the legal basis? Because you run into a complex issue. Is it the Attorney General? Because look at it. The Attorney General will be advising the Governor in his capacity as advisor to the Governor's office. He'll be advising to the Elections Office, but he's also advising to the Cabinet. Those are 3 different strands of individuals with a vested interest that might be trying to achieve different things. Because
caller, I'd like to just correct you there on one thing, and that is one of the things that I'm going to share with our listeners this morning as well. Mr. Ian Henry's position and his statement during the constitutional talks in relation to the Attorney General advising the Governor. Attorney General advises the Governor in Cabinet and advises the Legislative Assembly, but not the Governor's office.
Okay, thank you very much. That means he has his independent counsel or some other...
Yeah, that'll come from the FCO, yes.
FCO, All right, thank you very much for that correction. Greatly appreciated, sir. But bearing in mind that you now have the Attorney General either advising Cabinet, and let's be clear, Cabinet have mounted and supported financially a public relations campaign to fight against the need to proceed with a people's-initiated referendum. It's in all of the ads, support our port, support our tourism sort of thing. That is a government-funded vehicle. So you can't say you can say with certainty that the government are not for a people's-initiated referendum for a variety of different reasons. They have a campaign that says if you vote for the petition, you're voting against the port, so on and so forth. This is on the record, in the public domain, and being paid for by public funds. Now, you have the Attorney General also potentially advising the the Elections Office, and you have a legal advisor at the Elections Office who's also playing a role there. All civil servants, all ultimately responsible to the government of the Cayman Islands, for the want of a better word. And that's where the concern comes in, because the question to be asked is on what basis, and don't get me wrong, I fully understand that a verification process must take place. I fully understand. But here's my suggestion, and here's what would make sense to me. If you know you have X amount of electors or voters that have voter registration cards, those sample signatures are already on file with the Elections Office for those persons that actually hold an election voter registration card. Let's say that number is 2,500. They could easily cross-reference their signatures on file at the Elections Office against what was presented to them, which again, we've explained the thorough process that we went through internally, and then that would mean that the remaining signatures of persons who do not have election registration cards on file with the Elections Office, you could then commence a door-to-door sort of...
on the remainder, yes. Got your on that, and I agree. I certainly agree with you on that, and hopefully, Mr. Moxham, you're able to sit down with the supervisor of elections and see, and their office to see whether or not that would be something amenable to them, as well. We're going to go to the next call, and I just want to say in between calls that I'm going to share with you during my tenure as Deputy Supervisor of Elections and Mr. Kerner Gomez's tenure of Supervisor of Elections when we were called in to the then Executive Council in relation to voter registration issues, our reaction to those elected members of Cabinet about the inappropriateness of them summoning us to the Cabinet to talk about those issues and trying to pressure elections officials in for political motives. And I will tell you our reaction to that. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, O.C. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm fine. How are you, sir?
Yeah, what happened to Mr. Mark Lim today? They was unable to come or what? Today rains in the man.
Yeah, we didn't say that we're going to be here every Wednesday. We're working... We're working with them on that, to have them in. I think Mr. Reese is actually off island.
Yeah, okay. You remember an old lady from Georgetown, Rockville area called Miss Ida Godfrey?
Yes.
She used to use a word called when you know, and when you don't know, you don't know. You remember that? That's what I'm saying. I consider myself uneducated because of where I grew up. But I want to find out if you can answer me this question. When these people going door to door to verify the signatures and they come to my house and I'm out to work, do they going to go the extra mile to try to come back to find me like how they would do when they were doing campaign? They would be around your house at 11 o'clock.
Well, you don't want to confuse the campaigners with the election officials. Completely different person. The campaigners may come back the next day to look for you because they want your vote. And I'm sure that the elections officials, if they come, they will probably leave a note saying that we have been there, leave a number for you to contact them, or they will probably return. Because if they're taking this verification process as seriously as it appears, then they're going to make sure that every I is dotted and every T is crossed.
That is good to hear you say that, but I
am quite sure that will happen, caller.
We'll see. Bob Marley say man to man, it's unjust. You don't know who to trust. But anyhow, that's one thing. But I went to the office. I went into the office to verify my signature, and you had to fill out a form again.
And it seems as if several people are taking that initiative, which again will make the process even that much speedier.
I don't know why you got to go through all of that again. Fill out the form. I thought that it was just like the elections. Well, when you go in there, they ask you what you need.
So what does the form? What does the form ask you? I haven't seen one. Share it with me.
You got to fill it out.
So what is it? Fill out what? What do you have to fill out? Huh?
And it's a form filling out your name and your direction, your address, and stuff like that. And then you got to sign it again, and it you know. And then they go on the computer, and then although you fill out the form, they go on the computer, then they ask you, is your address same as it was, and blah, 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 blah.
Well, and there may be reasons for that as well. Maybe they're trying to cover more than one base. You know that there is a legal requirement that if you have changed your address, and if you're a registered elector and you have changed your address, that change of address should be registered with the elections office, because you may now be voting in a constituency that you no longer reside in. And based on my experience in the elections office, people are not too diligent or too religious about passing that information on to the elections office. So this is probably a good opportunity for them to do that as well. Okay. No callers. This gives me an opportunity. Oh, 2 callers still. I can't get back to this document, the research paper, but that's fine. Next caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. Connor. How are you doing, sir?
Good morning. I'm fine. How are you, sir?
I sincerely appreciate your comments you made in terms of when you and Mr. Turner was supervisor of election, that when politicians tried to run interference, that you guys expressed your dislike and concern. I think that we need more of that, because then we can have more faith in the process when these type of things come up. But I just want to add on some of what Johan was saying earlier, in terms of the verification process. When we look at that section of the law, which I think we all have at this point who's interested in this, there are a few things that is absent and that draw great concerns, like the verification process. There's nothing in there that says that any of the signatures has to be verified. It just says that it has to be, you have to get 25% of the registered voters to trigger a referendum. But one of the major concerns that we have as a group is one, the process that has been taken and who have advised for that process, which the election office had indicated from what we see in press media. Now, obviously, I give Wesley Howell the benefit of the doubt to come out to clarify any misprinting of the media, which I haven't seen to this point, in terms of Cabinet advising him for what the verification process is. And I think that right there is where we need to all focus in on, because one, we all clearly understand that in order for Mr. Howell to take up his responsibility at the election office, he have to then take a temporary leave of absence from his duties as chief officer, and he's directly dealing with the governor in terms of anything to do with election. So, I believe that when we look at this process, the governor and the Attorney General, Mr. Bulgin, is going to have to come and try to clarify some of the legalities in terms of how if it was Cabinet, in fact, advised Mr. Howell on the verification process, one, how did Cabinet derive to that verification process? Because they would have had to have gotten legal advice, and one would only assume that it would have come from the Attorney General, Mr. Sam Bulgin. At least that's what I would assume.
Caller, was the petition delivered to Cabinet as well? Copies of the petition delivered to Cabinet members?
Well, it wasn't to Cabinet members directly. However, Mr. Matthew Forbes is there as a representation of the governor who chairs Cabinet, and the question was asked to him at the press conference that is he accepting a copy, a certified binding copy of the petition as a representative of the governor who chairs cabinet, and he agreed. And obviously he didn't give a direct answer, but we made sure and we covered all bases in terms of who got the petition at the very same time.
Okay.
So the only question is, Mr. Connor, and I think it lies in the minds of almost everybody who is interested enough to have signed this petition, is one, there's no timeline on when the verification process can be done. So therefore, these individuals are thinking, well, is the government going to be allowed to continue the negotiation process and continue to do what they had initially said they were going to do, regardless of the petition, is move right ahead with this project, or are they going to be allowed to have their signature be represented in the highest level of democracy, in which it was intended for under the section? So again, because we don't have any written guidelines or referendum laws, I think that the best thing, because it's important that we safeguard the integrity of our country and our jurisdiction. Because if we get this wrong, Mr. Connor, obviously we're setting a precedent. Because there's no Commonwealth, there's no territory in the Commonwealth that has done a people-initiated referendum. So we need to ensure, yes, we can't argue about we didn't put a law in place 10 years after the Constitution was changed, because it hadn't happened yet. So we need to focus on the current situation and ensure that this process goes about with the highest level of integrity of democracy, so that we don't set a bad precedent and we don't be the jurisdiction to do so.
Excellent. Colin, I want to thank you very much for that. We have to go to a commercial break, but the rhetorical question again, did people hear what Dr. Steve McFeel said in terms of the ability to go and seek guidance from the courts in this regard in the absence of legislation? Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Since March 2004, West Bay Pharmacy has kept their doors open to the local communities, even before, during, and after Hurricane Ivan. At West Bay Pharmacy, our staff provides so much more than pharmaceutical excellence. From the moment you walk through our doors to completing your cash out, our staff will have put your healthcare concerns at ease. We would like to take this moment to thank our loyal friends and customers. To us at West Bay Pharmacy, our patients are our primary concern. We provide thorough background checks and precise calculations to ensure your medical safety. Thank you for being a part of our family and for choosing West Bay Pharmacy, where we care about your health.
2019 marks 100 years of junior achievement worldwide. Junior achievement in Cayman is now 29 years old. To celebrate and support this milestone, help Junior Achievement Cayman to continue our work, guiding next generation Cayman to new horizons in life and business. Get your ticket and enter to win an exclusive trip Namibia, known as a smile on the face of Africa, offering a unique blend of amazing desert scenes, exquisite wildlife, and fascinating tribal cultures.
Get an adventure of a lifetime while supporting Junior Achievement.
Purchase your ticket and stand a chance to win an exclusive all-inclusive 16-day tour to Namibia for 2 persons. Namibia can be reached from the Cayman Islands with Delta Airlines flights via Atlanta and Johannesburg. Experience the astounding and desolate dunescapes of South Namibia, the amazing endangered wildlife of the Etosha National Park. Purchase your ticket today. Junior Achievement, another Rotary Central inspiration project.
Wow, it seems I buy a battery every year.
Oh, for real? You should buy your car battery from Vantman. Their batteries are tough. I have a 3-year warranty on mine.
Oh, I know that trick. I take it back and they charge me a percentage of the price.
Hear me out, bro. Not at Vamp Bobo. You can get a 3-year full warranty, no charge. And if they install it at Vamp, it includes free towing and jumping service. And let me tell you, you will never have to get your hands dirty changing no battery.
Get Motorcraft Max or Plus battery for 20% off when it's installed by the service department at Vamp Motors on Walkers Road. Now that's a deal you can get charged up about. Vamp Motors, keeping you on the road.
Extended through June.
At Logic, we make things better for our customers. It's why we're offering free Boost Wi-Fi. With Boost, you get improved Wi-Fi connectivity everywhere in your home, so there's no more dead zones. The only people we're not making this better for is parents. Because now with seamless Wi-Fi in every room in your home, go to your room isn't really the punishment it used to be. Sorry about that. Sign up now for any Logic Bundle package and get free Boost Wi-Fi for a limited time. Visit logic.ky for details.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We're going to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Fine. Mr. O.C., the form at the election office, has it changed since Monday? The wording has it changed since this Monday that's gone here?
I haven't seen the form yet. Someone was going to try to share it with me because they said that there was a copy on social media.
I took a picture of it and I have it on my phone. I went there on Monday, and the form was very, very simple. All it asked for was your name and your district you're in. And I signed it and put a date on it, and I gave the lady my card. That lady haven't asked me one question. She told me thank you, and I was out the door. It wasn't even 10 minutes of filling up a form.
So did they tell you what?
Very simple.
Did they tell you what that form would be used for?
That was they was for the referendum.
But would the information that you put on there, would they use that, let's say the signature that you have on there, to compare that then against the signature on the petition?
Yes, for the petition.
Okay.
And I gave them they want to match it with the signature of the petition.
On the petition. Okay, got you.
I gave them my voter's ID card. They took everything from me, and she never asked me he or thou or they or whatever the case may have been. And there was other people out there with me, and they was not asked any questions. So I don't know what is going down and what the problem is, but there was a rumor on the road that they was going to be coming door to door, and it was going to be asking you why. No, sorry. Were you forced to sign this? Were you this? Were you that?
I think that might have been just a rumor because that turned out to be false.
It has to be, I guess. And when I went to the place, it was very simple. Very, very simple. So I don't know what everybody walking their guns up for. All I did was pick up my ID, put my name in there, and sign it, and put my district, and gave the form back to the lady. And that was it.
Okay. Thank you very much. That helps to explain. So, go ahead. Sorry. Sorry.
My aunt Ruth Thompson, Eden has a 90-odd birthday today. Could you shout out to her from Miramar, her family, and from the Thompson family, please?
Miss Ruth Thompson. And how old you say she is?
I think she's 91,
91 years old today, Miss Ruth Thompson. Okay, we'll give her a shout out later on towards the end of the show, as well.
Cool. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you very much, caller, for that as well. Let me make a note of that real quickly. What I'm going to share with you again now is a part of the article, the research paper that was done. And this part has to do with looking ahead, addressing legislation. And the late Julian Banks, the late Pastor Al E. Banks, and Mr. Will Pinot pointed out that various factors must be taken into account to ensure that the process is clear and reliable. That is the referendum process that they're talking about. One issue to determine is whether the referendum will be held separately or with another poll. It is sometimes argued that combining polls can increase the risk that voters will confuse separate issues. For example, the performance of the incumbent government can be confused with the issue on which the referendum is being held. However, from an administrative point of view, it may be more cost-effective to hold a referendum at the same time as an election. And I will point out, these are my words now, that is basically what happened with the 2009 referendum under 2009 Constitution. It was held along with a general election. And what is interesting with that one, and I need not tell you, that the government which was behind the constitutional modernization process, and they were the ones who were in office at that point in time and shepherded the constitutional modernization process. They lost control of the government, while at the same time the referendum carried in terms of accepting the Constitution. So that was an interesting outcome of that particular election and referendum, both held on the same day. And as you know, we had you had a booth for you to vote in the general election, and then you went separately and voted for the referendum on the other on another booth. Some people chose to go and do both. Some people chose only to do the referendum and not the general election, and some people chose to do the general election and not the referendum. But that was there. Also, the research paper speaks to the fact that there is also the question of whether to regulate referendum campaigns, something that we haven't spoken a whole lot about here so far, but I guess have to get by other issues first, like the verification of signatures before we even talk about campaign, even though there are those who are saying that the campaign has already started and started a long time ago, at least from one perspective, right? So there's an important consideration to ensure open debate and a fair and free campaign and referendum. Voter education, the role of government, and the role of the media are also key issues in the administration of a referendum as well. So again, if you get an opportunity, go to the Constitutional Commission's website and find that research paper there that was authored late Pastor Al Ebanks, the late Ms. Julian Banks, and Mr. Will Pinot. Callers, let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record. Good morning, caller. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Uh-huh.
Go right ahead. You're on.
O.C.?
Yes, sir.
Hartman here.
Morning, sir. How are you?
I'm calling concerned the referendum.
Mm-hmm.
This is just a play because I could not sign a petition until I presented my ID card. They got my number on it. They got my total thing and my signature.
Mm-hmm.
Now, 800 people is not going to that office to verify their signature again. This is a play so it can fail. Now, if they cannot accept the signature that's on that card along with my registration number, what more do they want?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What do they want? Pound the flesh?
Yeah, that's a good question. No. Now, some people would retort and say, well, that the people who are collecting those signatures are not officials, and of course, they're not required to be officials. They're concerned citizens. Yeah.
Listen, see, if my registration number is on there, with my signature saying this is me, and they would not accept it I could present my voting card with my registration number. Now, what difference does it make in front of them that my number is there? Is it a change? Cannot they look on the register and see this is Hartman, the Costa registration number?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. This is to kill it, because 800 people is not going down there. A few may do it. Some is working. Some is maybe have left the island to go on a trip, and then again they don't get the 800 quantity that is required to stop this destruction of the island. I hope you will read my letter, my report there one of these days for me.
Yes, I still have that in my possession. Yeah. Definitely, sir.
This is ridiculous, man.
Uh-huh.
What's going on here? Just to stagnate what's the process.
Okay.
Anyway, that's my.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hartman, for that. Thank you very much. We have one more caller, but we have to go to a commercial break. Caller, please hang in there. Take a quick commercial break. When we return, we will take your call.
Congratulations, it's a boy.
During the greatest events of your life, whether or not you have the right health insurance coverage should be the last thing on your mind. That's why at Fidelity Health, we are committed to helping you get matched with the right plan to suit you and your family. We offer a range of plans to suit your budget, plus access to a network of quality care throughout the Caribbean and the USA. You can relax and enjoy life's greatest moments when you are covered with Fidelity Health. Call us today at 949-7822 for a free quote.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
I have various items coming from different suppliers that I need to ship to Cayman. Do you offer consolidation?
Yes. Seaboard Marine offers consolidation for full and less than container loads. We can hold your packages at our Miami warehouse until everything arrives and ship it all in one go. And we have the best rates to Grand Cayman. Visit seaboardmarine.com for more information. Shipping shore to shore.
Headlines. With the latest headlines.
Headlines.
All the news when you want it. Tune in to Radio Cayman for hourly headlines of the day's top stories.
One of Cayman's bright and shining young stars.
Local, regional, international.
Headlines.
Turning to international news. Updates on the hour between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. on weekdays. Radio Cayman News.
Headlines.
Your voice, your choice for today's biggest news.
2019 marks 100 years of junior achievement worldwide. Junior achievement in Cayman is now 29 years old. To celebrate and support this milestone, help Junior Achievement Cayman to continue our work guiding next generation Cayman to new horizons in life and business. Get your ticket and enter to win an exclusive trip Namibia, known as a smile on the face of Africa, offering a unique blend of amazing desert scenes, exquisite wildlife, and fascinating tribal cultures.
Get an adventure of a lifetime while supporting Junior Achievement.
Purchase your ticket and stand a chance to win an exclusive all-inclusive 16-day tour to Namibia for 2 persons. Namibia can be reached from the Cayman Islands with Delta Airlines flights via Atlanta and Johannesburg. Experience the astounding and desolate dunescapes of South Namibia, the amazing endangered wildlife of the Etosha National Park. Purchase your ticket today. Junior Achievement, another Rotary Central inspiration project.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We're going straight to the phone lines as promised. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. I just want to make a quick point. When the lady called in and said that she had to re-sign a form at the election office, I just want to highlight how critical this particular point is.
Mm-hmm.
Why is the election office having people re-sign a form with their signature on it, and then I'm presumably going to cross-check that signature with what we have provided? Why are they not looking on the binded original copy list as the person comes in, pull them up on their registration list that they have, pull up the list that we have, that person presents an ID and say, that's my signature.
Mm-hmm.
I signed that signature. I made that signature on that form.
Yeah, because caller, this I'm looking at it now, and this almost looks like it's another petition that is being signed again.
And I want to give thanks to Mr. Hartman DaCosta for his contribution, because as a concerned person who signed the petition, who are not afraid to come in public and say that he signed it, we have to applaud people like him. But the point is, Mr. Connor, is that where is the legal grounding for the election office to have a form formalized to have people come in and sign that form in order to be verified? Now, what happens if a person says, and I want to know where this person's rights stand. If a person goes in there and says, I don't want to sign any forms, I already signed the petition. Can you please produce the petition that was provided by the CPR group, and here's my identification card, here's the proof that I'm on the registered list, and I want you to verify me. Do the election office tell that person they can't do that?
But caller, why aren't we asking the courts whether or not this is a right and proper procedure? Why isn't someone going to the courts? Is it because of financial restraints on your part, or why isn't the court being sought to resolve this?
Well, I will tell you, Mr. Connor. Like Mr. Moxham mentioned earlier, we are in the process of seeking legal counsel in order to challenge this decision made by the election office to take this lengthy and unnecessary process to verify signatures that they already have their original copies. They don't have a printed copy or electronic copy, Mr. Connor.
Mm-hmm.
We gave them a binding sealed copy of the originals that goes against a copy of the registered list that was provided by Mr. Howell for $500. They charge our group $500 for a certified list of electors, so that we can verify. Now, if Mr. Howell has been advised or his office has taken it upon themselves to choose this process, they need to be clear on it, because we are going to challenge it in court.
Mm-hmm.
This decision makes no sense, and we're not being unreasonable, because for a person to go into the election office with their voter's ID card and have to be subjected to filling out a form with their signature in order to be verified, when they have in their possession the original copy of the petition with that person's signature on it, all they have to do is flip to that page, verify the signature, ask the person to their face, is that you? Yes, sir, that's me. Have a nice day. You've been verified.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's that simple. And one would think that Mr. Howell, in his capacity and his understanding of the election laws and knowing the integrity of that office, you would figure that if anyone had suggested that outside of himself, he would have said, well, guys, that's not necessary, because we have a copy of the original list. I have the electors list. And if a person walks in here and say, hey, I'm John Brown, my name is on that list, here's my ID, verify it, move on. And I don't see how that process cannot be validated by the election office, because it's very simple. Anyway, I just want to clarify that, Mr. Connor, because one last thing, Miss Lookloy, and this is where I have a lot of issues. When we met with the election office, our group, on the first initial meeting, Mr. Connor, and I think this is critical, we asked Mr. Howell about the process. If a person came in with their voter's ID card, you know what Ms. Lookloy, quote-unquote, answer to that was? She's not a handwriting expert. So can the election office please explain to me now, how are they going to verify the signature on the form against the signature on the petition if they're not handwriting experts?
Or are they going to employ a handwriting expert to do it? Mm-hmm.
Well, they haven't made any assertions that was the case. And again, Mr. Connor, this thing has more issues.
It is. There are more questions than answers, and I think you to get your process on the right footing, you have to move expeditiously. That's very true, sir. I appreciate you having this conversation today, because it's prudent to the process and it's important. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, caller. We're going to close the phone lines off for a second. I want to switch gears because this whole issue of the Attorney General and his advice is going to come up. So, on the formal negotiations on the new Cayman Islands Constitution, in the first round, which was held between the Cayman Islands delegation and the United Kingdom delegation between Monday the 29th of September 2008 and Thursday the 2nd of October 2008, held at the Ritz-Carlton, Grand Cayman. And during those discussions, Mr. Will Penu of the Chamber of Commerce said that I need to find it. Mr. Will Penu basically commented about the role of the Attorney General, and Mr. Ian Henry in his response, and I'm saying and I don't like to say but I'm saying it because I had it marked and lost it for some reason. We have a caller? Okay, let's take the caller and I can find that. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning to you, Mr. O.C.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Yes, fine, thank you. I just have maybe two. It's obvious it has become
You're breaking up, caller. You're breaking up, caller. Mm-hmm.
Hear me now. Hello?
Yes, sir. Hearing you much
Can
better.
you hear?
Yeah.
Okay. It has become highly political, and it's obvious maybe a staging ground for the next general election, so to speak. I just have two questions. One might be frivolous. I'll ask that first. What happens, though it's highly unlikely, if we have 19 electoral districts, or districts, whatever you want to call them now. And I just wondered, suppose there are no persons on that list petition from one district, none whatsoever. Should they then be, so to speak, not bother to participate in the voting process? And then the other question is this, really, and maybe it has been determined, or it hasn't, I haven't heard it, but I think it's a very serious issue. What constitutes a national importance, an issue of national importance? In my humble opinion, just that's mine, I can only give you my opinion. I don't think this is a national issue. I think it could have been settled between the elected representatives going around and talking to their electors and having discussions with them and meetings with them, and they could have arrived already at an answer to
that question, caller, will be that issue will be determined by the cabinet as well, whether or not it is a issue of national importance. Also, caller. We're getting a beeping sound from your phone, caller. There's a lot of interruption.
Thank you very much. No, I just wondered if you could answer that. The first one, the kind of frivolous one.
Can you repeat the first one? Do you mean if... see, it's not going to be whether or not... it's not only the signatories of the petition who will be voting. The voting on the referendum will be open to all of those persons who are eligible to vote if they want to go out and vote. So they will open. You will have polling stations in every constituency, or you should have polling stations in every constituency.
Just wondered if
okay. We're going. I'm going to go. I've found the comments by the chamber representatives. Mr. Will Pinot, representative of the Cayman of the Chamber of Commerce. Mr. Chairman, in speaking to Mr. Ian Henry, thank you for allowing me to speak on this issue, and it had to do with the Attorney General and the official members sitting in the Legislative Assembly. Mr. Pinot says, our membership has expressed concerns in recent years about the episodes of inappropriate behavior by the United Kingdom authorities in exercising their duties of good governance and security. There were episodes that have happened in recent times which caused the business community some real worry, and it's a belief that these checks and balances need to be implemented to ensure that you know those episodes are not allowed to recur. And again, that situation has occurred due to the obvious conflicts of interest by some of our official members, particularly the Attorney General, who basically serves two masters. One, on the one hand, the United Kingdom, and on the other hand, also providing legal advice to the cabinet, in our view. If that's not correct, I was going to lead up to a question for you in terms of the Partnership for Progress and Prosperity paper. So Mr. Ian Henry goes on to say, he says, before you do, it is not correct that the Attorney General serves the United Kingdom. Now, this is Mr. Ian Henry, constitutional expert, legal expert, advisor to the Foreign and Commonwealth Office on Constitutional Issues. He goes on to say, the Attorney General is the legal advisor to the Cayman Islands government and in the Legislative Assembly. He advises the Assembly as a whole. He is the legal advisor. As a whole, he does not serve the United Kingdom government. If what you mean is that he is the legal advisor to the governor as well as the elected ministers of cabinet, that is true. But that is not, in my view, two masters. Says constitutionally, it is incorrect to say that there are two different masters because the governor and the cabinet are both part of the government of the territory, and the Attorney General is not in a conflict situation by advising them both. He may find it difficult when there is an argument between them, but that is what he has to do. He has to give honest legal advice to both, and I'm sure that the current Attorney General does that. I know him well enough. So please don't allege that the Attorney General is in some way a creature of the United Kingdom government, because that's not right, and I won't tolerate it. Mr. Ian Henry was quite adamant and quite firm in that regard, and I think that helps to clarify it in terms of those who feel that and who state that the Attorney General advises the governor in his capacity as the UK's representative, the Queen's representative, advises the governor in cabinet, along with cabinet, which forms a part of the government of the Cayman Islands and the Legislative Assembly. Now, some may ask the question whether or not we need to have an Attorney General who's a public servant or a civil servant, or whether or not an Attorney General could be an elected member of the Legislative Assembly. With all of the lawyers that we have in the Cayman Islands these days, I don't see why that isn't the case. And I believe that that should be one of the issues that we should be seeking in terms of constitutional changes to, and has not meant to reflect on the present holder of the office at all, but it is my humble opinion that in this age of democracy, there is no place for us to have an Attorney General who is unelected in our Legislative Assembly, nor is there a need to have a Deputy Governor who is unelected in our Legislative Assembly as well. There are ways and means when you need to have the civil service represented and questions about the civil service for the Legislative Assembly to summons those persons down to the Legislative Assembly. But if we're talking about progress, if we're talking about constitutional modernization, years and years ago, we did away with that. We removed the vestry and we had elected members of the Legislative Assembly, albeit that we did have nominated members at that point in time. But we haven't moved much, and whether or not we argued strongly enough for that to happen in the 2009 Constitution is another question. But I believe it's one of those issues that should be put on the table again to resolve this whole issue. Folks, last commercial break. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Wow, it seems I buy a battery every year.
Oh, for real? You should buy your car battery from Vampman. Their batteries are tough. I have a 3-year warranty on mine.
Oh, I know that trick. I take it back and they charge me a percentage of the price.
Hear me out, bro. Not at Vamp Bobo. You can get a 3-year full warranty, no charge. And if they install it at Vamp, It includes free towing and jumping service. And let me tell you, you will never have to get your hands dirty changing no battery.
Get Motorcraft Max or Plus battery for 20% off when it's installed by the service department at Vamp Motors on Walkers Road. Now that's a deal you can get charged up about. Vamp Motors, keeping you on the road.
Extended through June.
At Seaboard Marine, customers often ask us questions about their shipments.
Hi, I'm thinking of buying a car from the States. Which port do you ship out of?
Hi, we ship out of Miami, Houston, and Brooklyn. Just let us know your port of choice and we can provide you with a quotation and answer any questions you may have on insuring and protecting your vehicle during its journey.
Shipping shore to shore, Seaboard.
Since 1993, Rotary Central has worked diligently each year to provide quality bus shelters to our community. A traveling convenience to our school children, the elderly, young people going to work, guest workers, and visitors using the public bus. We, Rotary Central, help you, our advertisers, make it happen. Your marketing dollar travels a far way. Positioning your message, your product, your services, your presence in over 83 bus shelters. Every dollar you spend, every advert you place helps to build another bus shelter, providing modest comfort for Cayman travelers. Reserve space now on the only billboard medium in the Cayman Islands. Email rotaryshelters@gmail.com. rotaryshelters@gmail.com. The Bus Shelters, a partner in community convenience. Another inspiration program by Rotary Central Cayman Islands.
Support our port, support our tourism.
Did you know Georgetown's revitalization goes hand in hand with a new cruise terminal? The project will create jobs and entrepreneurial opportunities for Caymanians, and Georgetown will once again be a hub for visitors and locals alike. A capital we can all enjoy. Learn more and spread the word.
Support our port, support our tourism.
For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the Record with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We've closed the phone lines off, and I'm going to conclude this show this morning by again continuing to share with you some of the excerpts from the formal negotiations on the new Cayman Islands Constitution, the first round held between the Cayman Islands delegation and the United Kingdom delegation on between Monday, the 29th of September 2008 and Thursday, the 2nd of October 2008, held at the Ritz-Carlton, Grand Cayman, and the discussion in relation to the role of the Attorney General. The Honourable Alden McLaughlin, who at that time was the Minister of Education, Training, Employment, Youth, Sports and Culture, and a very integral part of the negotiating process. He had a huge hand in crafting and negotiating as well. So Mr. Henry, the chairman, allowed the minister to speak, and he said, I wouldn't offend you by saying that, but I can tell you, sir, that as a legal matter of fact, that the present constitutional arrangements which places the Attorney General in the position as principal legal advisor to the governor, a practice, and to the government, a practice in which he advises the governor quite separately on issues within which the governor may disagree with cabinet, is an untenable one. So, despite what Mr. Ian Henry said about what the Attorney General should be doing, we had an Attorney General who also sought to advise the governor in his capacity as governor, not, as a member of cabinet. The minister goes on to say, and the reality of the situation is that we've had at least one instance like that since I've been in cabinet, in which the Attorney General has had to concede that he could not advise cabinet because he had advised the governor on a matter in which the elected government fundamentally disagreed with him. So, cabinet in that instance was left without legal advice. That's a reality. But that is a relatively minor matter compared to the situation with former Attorney General David Ballantyne. And I think we all know the tragic consequences of that. And there is no question that there is a real concern and perception in this jurisdiction that the Attorney General, in part because of the way he's appointed, and I cast no aspersions or questions anything in relation to the ability or integrity of the present Attorney General. I want to make that absolutely clear. We have a good relationship with Sam, that is the Honorable Samuel Bulgin. The elected government does, but by virtue of the way the whole of that office is appointed, there continues to be real concerns as articulated by the Chamber of Commerce representative throughout this community about how much confidence the community can have in the holder of that office, whoever that person may be. Now, we moved off the actual question of whether he should sit in cabinet and moved on to the whole question of how he's appointed. I understand that, but I wouldn't want to see any of us to leave this discussion believing that what Mr. Penu has said isn't real in terms of the way this office is viewed in the community. So here's Mr. Ian Henry's response to that. Well, okay, I understand that, and it may be a perception, but you will find me absolutely fierce. I don't very often get fierce, but I am very fierce about allegations that the Attorney General of an overseas territory serves the United Kingdom. None of them do, and I've known many, not just here, but in other territories. And you mentioned David Ballantyne. I know the story intimately, and he was not serving the United Kingdom. And in fact, I had very many bitter arguments with him when he was arguing for the Cayman Islands against the United Kingdom. I get very upset about this, and I better shut up because I get quite riled up. So, the reality of the situation was that we had attorney generals who gave legal advice to the governor. Sometimes that legal advice conflicted with the views of the government, the elected government, of which that attorney general should have been given advice to. So, from a reality situation where it actually happened, and the ideal situation where the Attorney General of the Cayman Islands is to advise the cabinet and the governor in cabinet. Mr. Ian Henry sees that as the ideal situation, but it didn't always happen. We had bad experiences with it, the David Ballantyne one, and they may have had one before that as well. So again, if we had an attorney general who was an elected member of the Legislative Assembly and sat in cabinet, you wouldn't be faced with this situation at all. He would be a political attorney general, but at the same time given advice. That's my take for the morning, folks. I want to thank you all for a very interesting show this morning. Lots of contributions. I hope you understand more about the referendum process, people-initiated referendum, and I trust that at the end of the day, true democracy will prevail in the Cayman Islands, and the most important aspect of that, the people and the people's views will be seen and heard as well. Folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman, and by extension, For the Record, into your homes, into your vehicles, as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, whether it be an office cubicle or if you're working in the outdoors. I also want to remind you that we are our brothers and our sisters' keepers. There is always someone out there who's less fortunate than we are, and I ask you to extend a helping hand to them. If you can't do that, then I suggest you donate to a worthy charity, because we always want to consider those who need, not necessarily those who want or even those who crave. I say to you, have a great day. Continue to support your radio station. Again, a big happy 90-something birthday to Miss Ruth Thompson, coming from all of your family members. Have a great day. And as usual, we ask the good Lord to bless these three beautiful, wonderful Cayman Islands.
For the Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Cayman Pharmacy Group, with a location in West Bay and professional pharmacy at CTMH Doctors Hospital. The Cayman Pharmacy Group has a location for you just around the corner. Seaboard Marine, with over 35 shipping ports, find your shipping solution by calling 949-4977 or visit seaboardmarine.com for competitive rates. Rotary Central, for more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. Fidelity Bank, for all your banking needs, visit fidelitygroup.com. Fidelity, we're good for you. And Roper's Janitorial, complete janitorial service for commercial, industrial, and residential. They get the job done right every time.